Welcome to Your Yes-Filled Life. I'm your host, Brenda Winkle, educator, healer, speaker, guide, and fierce advocate for your yes. I help sensitive and successful men and women find, reclaim, and live from their full embodied yes. Through empowering you to understand your energetic hygiene, establish healthy boundaries, and heal your nervous system, you'll be able to create your yes-filled life and move through your days with more freedom, more ease, and more joy. You'll hear inspiring stories of people who found their full-bodied yes, thought leaders who pursued their own dreams and are living life on their terms, and learn new ways to find the courage, joy, ease, and freedom to more fully step into your yes-filled life. Say no to the good so you can say yes to the great. Join me on this journey to discover your yes-filled life. Whether you're looking to break free from the golden handcuffs, start a new business, find your dream job, or simply live with more intention and mindfulness, I've got you covered. Let's explore the possibilities together and make your dreams a reality. Ready? Let's do this. Let's get you to your yes-filled life. Hello and welcome to Your Yes-Filled Life. I'm your host, Brenda Winkle. Today on the podcast, we are going to be talking about the Renew pillar of the power framework, but I have a question for you. So if you drink from a water bottle or a glass of water, what do you do when the water runs out? You refill it, right? You don't get emotional about it. You don't make it mean something. It doesn't mean anything about the bottle or the glass. It doesn't mean anything about the quality of the water. It doesn't mean anything about you. It just means that you're out of water, right? You don't apologize for needing to refill the water. You just go refill the water. And you also don't usually, I would say, try to keep drinking from an empty bottle, right? So my question for you is, are you treating yourself the same way? I certainly hope so. And if not, it's okay that you're not there yet. You will be. And even if you're already really good at allowing yourself to refuel, refill, renew, you're going to be even better after this episode of Your Yes-Filled Life. So when we talk about the power framework, this is a framework that I developed for empaths. The P stands for presence, O, optimize, W, wisdom, E, evaluate, and the R is for renew. Now, this renew pillar is all about empowerment and inspiration, and it's discovering the energetic buffer, which means that you not only take on less from other people, but you get to keep and renew more of your own energy. So you're ready to take on the world with renewed energy and confidence, and enough energy that you can do the important work that you're here to do. So we're going to take a look at 4 concepts within this renew pillar. We're going to look at hydration, nutrition, sleep, and energy. Now, you might be thinking, I already know about these things. And it's true. You probably do know a lot, but I guarantee you there's going to be some little surprises here and there because I'm coming at this from the lens of being an energy healer, a theta healing meditation technique practitioner, Reiki master, Clendening practitioner, in addition to my training as a trauma-informed breathwork facilitator and somatic coach. So when we take a look at hydration, nutrition, sleep, and energy, all of these are processes where we renew, refuel, refill ourselves. And I like to consider this kind of the baseline. Like if we're not doing these things, hydration, nutrition, sleep, and really focusing on our energy, it's kind of like we can spring a leak. We're going to look at these 4 things, and then we're going to take a look at how they all come together and how you can use them to completely transform how you feel so that you can have the energy, the confidence, the empowerment to do the important work that you're here to do. So let's dive in. We're going to take a look first at hydration. Now, hydration is not talked about as often as I wish it was. You know, you're mostly energy, and the part of you that's matter is mostly water. So if you're not hydrated, you're literally not functioning energetically in the most optimal of ways. And so hydration is really, really important. And I've talked about that often on your Yes Filled Life because it is so essential. So you can find a lot of variety in terms of what people recommend for your daily hydration amount. I'm going to defer to whatever your doctor, your nutritionist, your trainer says, but a good general rule of thumb is that you need 2.5 liters per day of water if you're a woman, or 3 liters a day if you are a man. And again, I defer to your health experts because you're working with them for a reason. So you want to take their guidelines. But this is just a really nice jumping off point. One of the things that we don't often talk about in terms of hydration is how to properly hydrate, signs of overhydration, and signs of underhydration. Now, here's something really interesting. The symptoms and signs of overhydration and underhydration look very, very similar. In fact, it can be confusing because they look so similar. In both cases, it can feel like fatigue, pounding headaches. It can look like muscle cramps or muscle aches. And the only real way to tell if you're overhydrated or underhydrated is how much water you've been drinking. If you're well over that 2.5 to 3 liter mark per day, and you're having symptoms of dehydration, it might actually be overhydration. And what that is actually meaning is not that you've had too much water, but that you have diluted the electrolytes in your body. So, I mean, yes, it is too much water, but it's too much water because you're like rinsing out the electrolytes. So, when we talk about hydration, we want to make sure we're considering electrolytes. Electrolytes help balance the amount of water in your body. So, when we think of electrolytes, these are some of the things that electrolytes help you do. They help with muscle and nerve function. They generate electrical impulses that signal from your brain to your muscles and your nerves. Electrolytes help your heart health by helping your heart contract and relax at a normal rate. Electrolytes can help your blood pressure maintain its stability. Electrolytes can help your body's acid or base, which is called the pH level, making sure that you're at a healthy pH level. Electrolytes also help with nutrient absorption, allowing you to actually absorb and ingest the nutrients from the foods that you're eating. And they also help with waste transportation, meaning if you are properly hydrated and have a proper amount of electrolytes in your body, it can move the nutrients into your cells and the waste out of your cells, meaning it kind of helps detox your body. And electrolytes also help your bone and teeth stay healthy. So you've probably heard of all the electrolyte mixes, electrolyte waters, and electrolytes in drinks like Gatorade or Powerade, and all of those are fine. The thing that I would invite you to consider is if you're adding a powder packet to your water, is it adding nutrients or is it adding mostly sugar? And it's a really nice thing to read the labels on that and find one that you really like that doesn't add a ton of sugar. And then it's nice if you can also, have some other nutrients in it. And so I do have some electrolyte mixes that I personally use. I am in love with the Primal Harvest electrolyte mix. I love it. It comes in a raspberry lemonade flavor, and I find that I just feel really, really good. Now, it is possible for you to have too many electrolytes because what we're doing when we add electrolytes is we're adding salts into our body. And so you will want to refer to your physician or your nutritionist to find out what the appropriate amount for you and your body is. But I find that, doing one of those packets a day really helps my overall feeling of well-being. And so I like the Primal Hydration or the Primal Harvest hydration packets. But you know something? Here's what we're not seeing on the news or on commercials or on the internet or on your social media. You're not seeing that you can actually get electrolytes from the foods that you eat, which has a double benefit. And we're going to kind of move this into nutrition as we continue talking about electrolytes. When you're thinking about the nutrients that you eat from an energetic standpoint, and remember, I'm coming at this from the lens of an energy healer, not a nutritionist or a doctor. From an energetic perspective, the foods that vibrate the most highly are the foods that are most energetically rich. And to those, we look for whole foods, fresh foods. And by fresh, I also mean frozen. So, like, you could do frozen berries, you could do frozen broccoli, you could do fresh fruits and vegetables, and they have great, great benefits. If you're doing your own canning and you're careful not to overcook your foods, then canned foods can also be a great source of nutrients. Sometimes there are a little bit of overcooking that can happen. Like if you're getting a can of green beans from the store, sometimes those have been overcooked and they don't have quite as many nutrients, but they're still a great option. So if that fits your budget or your lifestyle to have the canned fruits and vegetables, and it's a choice between not having fruits and vegetables in the can or not having fruits and vegetables at all, absolutely do the canned fruits and vegetables. But when we talk about electrolytes, remember me saying that we're adding salt. And there are several different forms of salt that we talk about adding to your body: potassium, sodium, magnesium, and calcium. Did you know calcium is a form of salt? It is. And it's also an electrolyte. So when we are thinking about adding potassium to our bodies as an electrolyte, there are some foods that are really beautiful sources of potassium. Foods like bananas, beet greens, salmon, white beans, avocado, potatoes, milk, and mushrooms. So if you add these foods, you can get a little dose of potassium in your diet, which can be really supportive for your overall hydration and nutrition. If you're looking for straight sodium, and this is really useful, especially if you've been exercising a lot, or it's very hot, or you've been sweating a lot, you might feel better with just some sodium. And that might be like dill pickles, clams, table salt, cheese, dry roasted sunflower seeds with salt. Those all have levels of sodium. And, sodium in itself isn't necessarily a bad thing. However, if you have any kind of heart condition or kidney condition, you would absolutely want to have a conversation with your doctor or nutritionist about the amounts that you should be adding of any of these electrolytes. Now, the third electrolyte that we mentioned was magnesium. And there are some natural food sources that have a lot of magnesium in it. And magnesium is beneficial not only from the electrolyte standpoint, but it will also help you fall asleep more easily at night. And if you are a perimenopausal or menopausal woman, magnesium is often in short supply. And so when you supplement with magnesium, either by eating more of these magnesium-rich foods or taking magnesium supplement, there are reports of fewer muscle cramps, better sleep, falling asleep more easily, and feeling more rested after sleep when you have appropriate levels of magnesium. So these magnesium-rich foods are spinach, pumpkin seeds, lima beans, tuna, brown rice, and almonds. And then on to calcium. And, the thing about calcium is that from different reports that I have read, it seems to be that there's two camps of calcium. In one camp, there are people who say that you shouldn't add calcium to your diet. You should just eat the whole foods. And another camp says to add calcium to your diet. So again, you're going to need to defer to your own doctor, or refer to your own doctor and get the medical advice from your doctor. But these foods are calcium-rich foods that you can add to your diet: milk, cheese, spinach, tofu, yogurt, okra, trout, and acorn squash. So you can get a dose of electrolytes and a dose of nutrition by adding those foods. So quick recap, the four electrolytes that we focused on are potassium, sodium, magnesium, and calcium. I am not saying that you should be taking these in supplement form. That is a decision for you and your doctor or nutritionist. But I am suggesting that you add some of these foods to your diet because they can be a great bump in nutrition and in your ability to stay hydrated. So now let's talk about nutrition. Again, I'm not a nutritionist. I am not a doctor, but from an energy standpoint, I can tell you that the fresher the food, the better the energy. It vibrates at a different rate than some of the more processed or dead foods. So, my two favorite foods that I love to make sure that I eat every day are spinach and blueberries. I try to have spinach and blueberries I try to have spinach and blueberries every day. Sometimes I'll have them in a smoothie. Today I had spinach and blueberries together in like a breakfast salad with my scrambled eggs and my toast. And so I just add them. I make sure I have them every day. Doesn't matter what time of the day for me. It might matter for you, but adding those spinach and blueberries, I know that I'm hitting my nutritional needs and I know that I feel really good and vibrant when I eat spinach and blueberries. But anytime that you're adding whole foods to your diet, you tend to feel better. So a whole food would be a grain, a bean, which might also be a legume, nuts, seeds, vegetables, fruits, and whole grains like brown rice or quinoa or barley. All of these are foods that really vibrate in a way that they are very nourishing to your body. Again, I'm not a nutritionist, but from an energy standpoint, whole foods are the way to go. If you find yourself eating a diet mostly of foods that contain plastic wrappers that aren't roots and vegetables, you may notice a level of fatigue and irritability, difficulty concentrating, brain fog, memory troubles, and trouble sleeping. And I have seen direct anecdotal evidence when I was teaching in public schools when I knew kids had a whole food diet and I knew kids had a processed food diet. I could see a difference behaviorally. I could see a difference in the way that kids learned. And there is direct correlation between the quality of the food that you eat and the ways in which you can function. And so, from an energetic standpoint, I really recommend eating as many fresh whole foods as you can. And remember, you can also eat frozen foods or canned foods. The thing that I would invite you to consider is how can you crowd out some of the processed foods with more whole food options? So, for example, if you love pizza, I love pizza. And so I'm going to use this as an example. I love pizza, but if you look at the ingredient list on the back of a frozen pizza from the grocery store, there's a lot of ingredients, like many, many, many ingredients, including a lot of things you can't pronounce. So when I go out and I'm eating pizza somewhere, I'm looking for a place that uses whole food, fresh ingredients, and sometimes I'll make my own pizza. And in that case, I might buy a pizza dough from a place that I trust that has just the flour, the water, maybe a little oil, and some yeast in the pizza dough. And then I buy whole ingredients to put on my pizza as toppings, where I'm buying the fresh mozzarella, or you can get another kind of mozzarella too if you like that better. Tomato sauce, or sometimes I'll even use marinara sauce. And I like to use a little marinara sauce as my pizza sauce. And then I can use the leftovers to actually make spaghetti. And then I add fresh veggies on my toppings. And sometimes I'll add like um, a pepperoni for a treat. But I try to avoid too many processed meats just because it doesn't make me personally feel better. No judgment against it if you love that stuff, but I just try and limit it for myself. And I also notice that I feel better, sleep better, think better when I'm eating whole foods. And so, pizza is one of the foods that I really, really, really love. And so I do make some allowances for it. And then I make it with my whole foods, and that feels good. So invitation to think about how you can create versions of the things that you love that are including whole food ingredients. And look, we're not here to restrict anything here at Your Yes Filled Life, because that is not a yes. And so if there are things that you absolutely love, I am not telling you to avoid them or to restrict them in any way. In fact, as I sit here recording, my daughter is turning 23 tomorrow, which feels kind of surreal that I have an almost 23-year-old, but I am in Portland right now, where I'm recording. This is kind of home base-ish. It's where my medical care is. It's where my daughter is. It's where my dog's medical care is. And so I've been in Portland for a few weeks, and we'll be here for a few more weeks. But anyway, Voodoo Donuts is one of the famous donut places here in the Portland area, and I'm staying at a place where there's a Voodoo Donuts on, just down the road from me. And it's not the original one down in the Pearl District of Portland. It is one that's over on the east side. And so I'm going to go get some Voodoo Donuts for my daughter, her roommate, and myself. And we're going to have birthday donuts. And I am not going to judge that. And I'm going to enjoy every single bite of my Homer donut, which is my favorite donut. I'm all about the pink donuts. I love them when they're pink, and the Homer is the pink, like raspberry or strawberry iced donut. Anyway, I digress. But the point is, please don't restrict things because it leads to obsessive behaviors. And again, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a doctor, but I do know what obsessive behavior looks like because I've engaged in it many a time when I've tried to go too far over on any kind of restrictive thinking, restrictive behaviors, or restrictive diets. And so I am not encouraging that in any way. Now let's dive into the third concept that we wanted to talk about within our Renew pillar. Okay. And that is sleep. So, there is so many symptoms of sleep deprivation, including brain fog, irritability, reactiveness, having difficulty concentrating, daytime sleepiness. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that are really sleep deprived. Thinking about what it was like when my daughter was little, there were lots and lots of times that I was sleep deprived, and it wasn't something that I could necessarily have fixed with sleep hygiene or a routine, because that's just sometimes the nature of how things go when you're a parent of young kids. And also, there are things that you can do to really support that sleep routine. And so I was researching the best advice for sleep routines, and I found something on a website called Healthline. And it has some really great suggestions. One of them was to set a wind down timer for yourself, meaning set a timer like an hour or 2 hours before you go to bed as a reminder to start closing loops on things, a reminder to kind of slow down, begin to think about dimming the lights and cooling off the home just a little bit, because there seems to be some evidence that suggests sleeping in a cooler temperature actually promotes better sleep. So that wind down timer can be something that you set on your phone a couple hours before bedtime. You can also set it if you have a thermostat that allows you to program the timing. You can make sure that you wind down a little bit before bed. And this is a great time to think about adding blue blocker glasses if you're watching a screen, or perhaps to move away from the screen and, maybe spend some time journaling or talking with someone on the phone, talking with your partner or your roommate, and maybe reading so that you can think about taking yourself away from the screen, because what we're learning is that blue light exposure, like from TVs, computers, phones, actually prevents the melatonin release, which cues your body that it's time to sleep. So, and we'll talk about some energetic things here too, but if you can clean up your exposure to the blue light before bed an hour or two, there's a lot of research that suggests you're going to get better sleep, more restful sleep, and feel better. The other thing, in addition to prepping yourself, your blue light, dimming the lights, preparing the temperature, is to make sure that your bedroom, your bed area, your sleeping area is ready for you too. And that looks like cleaning away any clutter, putting away the clothes. There's a direct correlation for me and my body with the amount of chaos in my room and my quality of sleep. So it's really important for me to close down any clothes that might have been left out, to put them in the appropriate place, whether that means folding them up and putting them away, or if it means putting them into the laundry hamper and just kind of smoothing down the edges. I find that my sleep is so much deeper when I don't have those open tabs about oh, I should move this. I need to complete this task. Oh, I need to do the laundry, blah, blah, blah. And so I spend a few minutes removing any clutter on the bed, tidying up the area. And I always start my day by making my bed because it feels so nice when I go back into the bedroom and there's just this nice, smooth bed. I haven't always done that, but I have done it for the past probably 10 years, maybe longer. And it's like a little gift I give myself so that I come back to this beautiful bed. And yes, I'm traveling full time and I'm still making my bed every day. Another thing that you could do to kind of signal to your body that it's preparing for bedtime is about an hour or two before you go to bed, go in and turn on a lamp and maybe pull down the edges of your blanket, just as a way to signal, oh, this is happening soon. You can close the blinds and just prepare the room for sleep. And again, thinking about how can you make sure the temperature is just a little bit cooler can be really helpful. Something else that's really important for sleep that I've really been struggling with is noise. So since I moved to Portland, I have realized that I have a noise sensitivity I wasn't aware I had. When I was living in Boise, I was out at the on the southwest or southeast side of town, and it was very, very quiet. And I didn't know that I was sensitive to noise until I moved to Portland and I was living next to a busy road. And I ended up selling that house mostly because I couldn't stand the noise. And so I have since learned to have earplugs close by. So I reduce noise in my area as much as possible. I am careful to choose Airbnbs because I'm traveling full time right now that are on quieter streets. And if I have a choice of bedroom inside my Airbnb, I will choose the bedroom that is furthest away from any road so that it's the quietest it can be. And earplugs and a white noise machine are very, very helpful. And so, you can get earplugs at any drugstore and they come in packages of like sets of 10 or something, or you can buy them on Amazon. And while it may take some getting used to sleep with earplugs, it's actually really, really helping the quality of my sleep. And so, invitation to do that if you're also noise sensitive. One of the things that they talk about for enhancing sleep are mindfulness strategies, which is exactly what I teach through the breathwork and somatic coaching. Getting into a routine of having a mindfulness practice right before you go to sleep can be very supportive. Maybe that looks like square breathing before you get ready to journal or read your book. That might be an inhale for 4, a hold for 4, an exhale for 4, and a hold for 4. I love to do the square breath. And then I add a heart hug to it because there's research that suggests that helps pull your body out of a stress response and back into rest and digest when you create that right left body cross. You are also creating a right left brain meridian cross. So we know that if you are in your right or left brain, you're not in the amygdala. The amygdala is sometimes called the reptilian brain, and it's the part of your brain that is really centered around keeping you alive. So if your amygdala is firing, it means that your vagus nerve is not online. And it means you're not in the upper part of your brain, your actual thinking brain, because you're in a stress response. So adding a square breath and a heart hug to your bedtime routine can help make sure that you pull yourself out of any stress response that you may be in from whatever happened during your day. So that might look like the square breath would be inhaling for 4, holding the breath for 4, exhaling for 4, and then holding out the empty exhale for 4, and then repeating. I recommend doing that for 2 to 3 minutes, and it can be absolutely transformative. If you want to add the heart hug, you're going to put 2 thumbs up and then turn 2 thumbs down. So now you've got the backs of your hands facing one another. Open your hands so that the backs of your hands are open, touching one another. Then cross one hand over the other. Now the palms of your hands are facing one another, but your arms are crossed. Then hold the hands and bend them down and then back up so that they rest in a crossed position on your chest. That's called the heart hug. DM me on Instagram if this doesn't make sense and I can send you a picture. of exactly what I mean. And my Instagram is at Brenda Winkle. So you're going to do this for a sleep routine. You're going to square breathe, in heart hug, and just let the breath do its work. Now, one last thing that is really, really supportive for good sleep, and that is creating an actual routine. And what I mean by routine is you're going to try as much as possible to get up and go to bed at the same times every day. I know that that sounds kind of boring, but it is so supportive for good rest. And we know that your quality of sleep is directly linked to your immune system's ability to fight off disease. And it's also linked to your aging process and it's linked to your brain health. And so, if you're not getting good sleep, this is one of the most important things that you can do to improve the overall well being and your overall health. Now, let's talk about the fourth component of the Renew pillar of the power framework, and that is your energy. So, when we think about energy, let me give you a little map of how I like to think about energy. So each of us has our electromagnetic field that's around our body. And oftentimes this is called your aura. AURA. Your aura is your electromagnetic field. If you have a leak in your field, you can leak out your energy and you can absorb energy you don't intend to. And if you're an empath, and chances are, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably have highly empathic abilities. It is really easy for you to accidentally absorb things, even beliefs that come from other people that aren't your own. And here's the thing, you won't know the difference on a cognitive level. You won't know the difference. You won't be able to feel the difference. You will feel as though those beliefs, those opinions, those ways of thinking, ways of being are your own. It feels like they're yours because they're in your auric field. So we need to actually make sure that there are no leaks, no holes in your auric field in order for you to make sure that you are maintaining a level of sovereignty in your body, in your energetic field. And so what I would invite you to do is to make a zipping motion from the base of your spine up over your head. Just kind of zip up your energy, zip up your auric field. Now, there are people out there, really well-known, high-profile people who are telling you things like, would Abraham Hicks tell you to zip up your energy? This is just a fear-based practice. That's what they say. I say, I don't think that's true. I don't believe that's true. And I think it's irresponsible to be walking around with a high level of empathy, deeply intuitive, and not zip up your energy. And the reason I think this is you have gifts that are special and unique to you. And if you get your gift all twisted up with somebody else's, you don't have access to your gift. You don't have access to your opinions, to your thoughts, to even your own beliefs. And let me tell you a story. This last weekend, I was doing my theta healing recertification. Every year, as a theta healer, you need to, not every year, every 4 years as a theta healer, you need to recertify. And so we were testing out like 10 or 12 basic beliefs that are very common for people to come into theta healing for the first time believing. And these are beliefs that hold you back. So these are beliefs that I understand God's definition of what it feels like to, and then we go through these beliefs, have joy, be accepted, to forgive, trust my intuition, to be completely respected, and things like this. And so I've done this work. I've been certified twice as a theta healer. This is now my third time of being certified as a theta healer. And so I know that these beliefs have been shifted. And so that I actually do feel like I know what it's like to be respected, to have joy and those things. But when I was muscle testing to see what my body thought, I was getting negative answers. I was getting like, no, you don't know that. And I'm like, what is happening? Now, I'm very experienced as an energy healer. I'm very experienced as a theta healer. And yet that morning, I had not zipped up. I was tracking someone else's energy and I didn't even know it. This is not something that happened last month, last year, 10 years ago. This happened 2 days ago. If somebody with the level of awareness that I have, and the level of sovereignty that I have can accidentally absorb someone else's belief, you better believe that if you don't have this level of expertise, you can absorb people's beliefs around you. So zipping up is absolutely essential. It does not separate you from other people. It does not create barriers, but it does create sovereignty. And so if you're feeling like you're having a hard time really leaning into what's true for you, finding what really works for you, finding what you want to do, it might be that you've absorbed other people's beliefs. And that could be something that we could shift together in a theta healing appointment. But that's actually not the point of this week's podcast. So when we're talking about energy in the renew pillar, I want you to think about this. Think about the water bottle again. Okay. Now, if your water bottle is empty, you go fill it without emotionality, without a story. If you are empty, I would love for you to get to the point where you go refill, where you go refuel without making it mean something, without apologizing for it. You just do it. And I want to help you do that by helping you understand how to set boundaries as an empath. And so I've created a free masterclass for you called Boundaries for Empaths. And it is on October 29th at 9 a.m. Pacific. There is a limited time replay, but I'll tell you what, I'm learning that people aren't watching the replay and that showing up best is absolutely the gold standard. And so this is probably the last masterclass that I'm going to do that even offers a replay. But as of right now, there's a replay. You can go register at brendawinkle.com/boundaries. And yes, there is a limited time replay, just a 48-hour quick replay. And in this masterclass, I'm going to show you how you can create energetic boundaries. And I'm going to show you how you can know when you need a boundary and signs that you might be taking on energy, emotions, opinions, and beliefs of other people so that you can create that sovereignty and agency that you so deeply desire. So, in this podcast episode, we've discussed the renew pillar of the power framework. And inside that pillar, we had 4 components. We had hydration, where we talked about the amounts of water and electrolytes. We talked about nutrition, how we want to eat whole foods and vibrant foods. We talked about sleep, the importance of it, ways that you can amplify the amount of rest that you're getting. And we talked about energy. And so I hope that this has been helpful for you. I hope it's been supportive for you. I'd love to hear from you. If you liked this series on the power framework, you can email me, brenda@brendawinkle.com, or you can reach out to me on Instagram. Next week on the podcast, we have a very special guest. Ellen Long is on the podcast, and you are going to love this conversation. It is so good and so juicy. And if you've ever thought about owning a business or you own a business, you are going to want to hear this conversation with Ellen. And I can't wait for you to hear it. So be sure you register for the free masterclass at brendawinkle.com/boundaries. And I'll put the link in the show notes if you want it. And with my new Theta Healing recertification, I'm offering Theta Healing sessions for $100. That's right. For $100. They're 45-minute sessions for $100. And so reach out to me if you'd like information on that, or you can go visit brendawinkle.com/theta, THETA. Thank you so much for listening to Your Yes Filled Life. It means so much to have you here as part of this journey. This started as a passion project, a way that I could talk to you, a way that I could share joy, and a way that I could remind myself how important it was to experience joy. In fact, that was the name of the podcast. It was called Waves of Joy. And as it's developed into Your Yes Filled Life, I'm leaning into the idea that we each have the opportunity to say yes to the things that are aligned for us. Yes to the things that light us up and bring us joy. Yes to the things that give us a feeling of expansion and purpose and meaning. And yes to making a contribution and being of service. And that means we sometimes have to say no to the things that aren't aligned. And so I want to help you do that as well. And so come join me in the boundary class if you want to learn a little bit more about saying yes and saying no in ways that feel really easy and aligned for you. And if you haven't yet given the podcast a rating or review. Invitation to go give the podcast a rating and review, especially if you liked this episode. Go give it a 5-star rating or review. And, I'm so grateful for you. I know I've said it before, but I just want you to know how much it means that you're listening. Thank you for listening. Bye for now. Until next time.